Hello, fellow people of the Earth. I am JFrames from Craft Productions, and today we're going to be we're going to continue the Java tutorial series. We're going to be working with JFrames. So, one thing to note: last episode I said that each GitHub project would be in its own folder. That's true. You can import it per project, but if you want to download the whole set, you can actually just set the directory that clips to work in to the main thing, not just the episode. So everything will be in one big project, and your project manager will have all the episodes if you do that. But you can also download each individual episode, and you can use the Eclipse import feature to import that episode into your project manager. But anyway, you're gonna want to watch last episode if you're completely new to Java. This episode we're gonna be doing some more stuff with JFrames. So I'm gonna create a new episode here, episode 2. And under episode 2, we're going to create a new package, com.roomtunecraft.tutorials.episode 2. You can use this package name if you really want to, but if you do use this package name, you can't post it. It would be copyright. Use your own package name that I was talking about last episode. So I'm going to create a new class, call it episode2.java. And as I said, today we're going to be working with JFrames, so let's go ahead and talk about class extensions. So when you extend a class, it pretty much is exactly how it seems. It extends that class with the necessary requirements. So what I'm going to do is at the end here, we're going to do public class episode2 extends JFrame. And a JFrame is a class in Java that is a frame, and it's just like an actual application window. So what we're going to do is we're going to want to import JFrame, and this is a simple thing you can do in Eclipse. Just select an import. If you're not using Eclipse, which I don't even know, you crazy, or you like a crazy person, you crazy man, I think you're a crazy man. But what you do is you an import imports classes. It's exactly how it seems. It just imports that class to be used in any way possible. But in this case, it's not just for extensions; it's for everything. But in this case, we're just importing it to use the JFrame because we have to. But anyway. Sorry about that. Anyway, now that we've extended JFrame, we have the ability to it creates the JFrame, and I mean I think you kind of have to extend JFrame in this case. I guess it's possible not to, but I don't know. In some case, you'll have to extend JFrame. But anyway, before we create our main launch the application thing, we're gonna create our constructor. So public episode2 constructor. All it's going to do, since this extends JFrame, we can use the normal JFrame methods to change the program around. So once our window is created, this is requiring that our window is already created, which we'll do in the main method. We'll do set resizable false. And this means the window we're creating is not going to be resizable. And then, by the way, you can't do these kind of things unless you're extending JFrame. So yeah. Then we're going to set the title of the window. This is like the title bar, so like here we have java.eclipse2 blah blah blah. Anyway, we're going to set the title of this to episode 2. Alright, we'll just hello, or this is a title. Alright, and of course the application is still not going to work right now. What I'm going to do is now set bounds, and how this works is it just sets the actual region for the window, and this requires an integer, an integer, and an integer, and an integer. Let me just figure out. I think it's. Whoa. Okay, that's a lot of variables. Hold on. I was going to try and figure out what the exact integers are. I think it's. We'll do 100. Do 100, 100, and like 400, 400. And these are not the way I can do like 200. We'll check this out in a second. But this creates the rectangle. And then we have to create the content pane. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do up here we're gonna define some variables. So we're gonna define the JFrame. So private episode2 frame equals null, and this is for the static method that we create before. And then we'll do private jpanel content pane. Now we're going to want to import jpanel. Jpanel is the actual content of the program. So now we're going to do content pane. We're going to equal this to null, which means it just pretty much equals, well, we don't have to do it for this, but some things we equal to null, which pretty much means it means nothing. And it means nothing. You mean nothing, episode 2, until we define it in our program. So now we're going to do content pane, which is the variable we defined above, equals new jpanel. And this just means that content pane is a new instance of the jpanel class, which is the actual content of the frame. So now we're going to create our main method. So we're going to do public static void main string collection arguments. You can get rid of this for now if you don't want it, but we're going to keep it. And I'm just going to do public. We'll put this in the runnable. Alright, so we're going to access a thing called event queue, and this is going to be very confusing. I'm not actually going to explain much of it right now. It's just going to be create a thread for this program. So event queue dot invoke later, and then we'll do new runnable. Alright, so this just creates the application in a new runnable format, and it requires the run method. So this will be very confusing, but just type that in. It's a new runnable application, so pretty much it just creates another thread, and I can get into threading later. Threading is something really important in Java that allows you to run multiple tasks at the same time, because of course it'd be very bad to just run on one process. For games, it'd be really important to multi-thread. But anyway, in our run method, we're going to add a try statement. Well, actually, first of all, let's just do frame equals new episode 2, and this pretty much defines the variable frame to episode 2. And we have to actually make it static because otherwise you won't be able to access it in this method. So we have to define the frame as a new episode 2, which is this, which will access this constructor we just made down here, and then we'll do frame dot set visible true. This sets the visibility of the frame to true, so we can actually see it. And we can set an exception if there's ever a problem with our episode 2 thing here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this in a try statement, and pretty much a try statement is exactly how it seems. It actually tries this code, and if it doesn't work, it goes to the catch method, and the catch method will simply catch any exceptions that occur and do whatever you want with it. So exception, we're gonna make this exception E, and this pretty much just means any exception. It'd be best if you used any type of exception like IO exception or any type of exception, but exception is just every type of exception put into one. So if anything ever goes wrong, we just do int e.print stack trace, and pretty much this just prints the error to the console. Oh, sorry. Anyway, now if we run our plugin, or run our program, as you can see we have our frame here, and it says this is the title, and as you can see it's in a certain bounds region. But yeah, we have our JFrames set up, and this is it. But yeah, that's our frame. So now I'm going to talk about a dependency that we're going to get. This is called Window Builder. Now, Window Builder, if you're moving from learning how to code in like Visual Basic, this is pretty much like the best way to move over. It's pretty amazing. It's a plugin for Eclipse that allows you to pretty much gives you a Visual Basic interface, and we're gonna get used to using this just to make our lives easier. Hold on. I'm sorry. Anyway, I'm gonna go to eclipse.org/window builder and download. Click the download here, and what I do is download. Alright. Yeah, go to the United States. Hold on. Alright, sorry, yeah. Anyway, you want to copy this link here. Just right click on this link and get copy link address. Then go to Eclipse and go to and go to Help and Install New Software, and just give a link like that we just copied, and add name. There we go. And we're gonna add. We're just gonna add all this stuff. I'll let that happen. Alright, and there we go, and then we'll click next, and we have to accept an agreement and finish. And it will quickly install the software into our Eclipse instance. Then it'll ask you to restart Eclipse, which just occurred. And here it is, loading again. Alright, now that's restarted. Knowing that we have this set up semi-correctly, we can right-click on our episode2.java class, open with, and window builder editor. And as you can see now, episode 2 has source and then design. And when you open the design page, it's going to parse the code into a window, and it's currently doing that. And there it is. There's our window that we had before, and now we can edit it, change the boundaries, and all that stuff like we were doing before. So we currently make it 400 or like whatever we want, so like 600 by 400. There we go. So there's our window, and we can do whatever we want with it. I'm actually gonna make it a bit smaller because I have a cool idea for an application we're gonna make soon. But yeah, then the top here, we can set the title again here. It's pretty much like Visual Basic in a little window here. Now, the layouts here, if we're gonna add stuff here, right now it defaults in as a border layout, which is a very weird layout. The layouts we're gonna most likely use is an absolute layout, a grid layout, and as you can see, if I put the grid layout in there, everything is kind of aligned to a grid, and we have to create that grid. There's also the flow layout. This is kind of another kind of weird layout. It can be easy for simple applications though. Then you have a spring layout. This is an okay layout. Allows you to. It's pretty nice. The one that we'll use a lot though is the grid bag layout. Grid bag layout allows you to be very precise. As you can see, there's when you put something in here, it creates like a grid, and you put something in a grid, and then you expand that grid, and it lines it to that grid. For a few things, we'll be using that. In other cases, we'll use the absolute layout, which is just completely freehand absolute. So if we add a button here, we can call it. Whoops, did not mean to do that. Just get rid of this. Don't double click it. We can call this button anything we want. New button, just button, or hello, or just press me, and then we'll have that as a button, and we can make that as big as we want, like that. And as you can see, if we go to our source here, it created a new J button. There's a new button, press me, and it set the bounds for it and the location of it. It added the button to the content pane, and then it defined the content pane as a new J panel. So we have that down there. Now we can do something cool. If we right click on the press me button, we can set an action. Everything that is down here, or we can, I think it's add event handler, yeah. An add event handler action performed, and this is pretty much if an action is performed on this button. So we can also just double click it, and it'll create it. So as you can see, it added an event action listener to this button, and pretty much whenever this button is pressed, something will happen. So we'll do system.out.println you pressed me. Okay. So now if we run our application, as you can see, we have It looks a lot different than it did in the window builder, and we'll work on layouting. We'll make this look a bit better when we switch it to a default Windows layout. But for now, as you can see, we press the button. It says "You pressed me" in the console. It's very easy to work with this code, and it makes everything a lot simpler when you're working with this kind of application. A lot like Visual Basic Studio, except with Java. So anyway, we have been working with JFrames and window builders this episode. Next episode we'll get into making some applications, maybe working on starting out making a little calculator